Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. How are you guys doing today? All right, my screen is down, but the computer seems to be working well otherwise today. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. All right, let's see who's in. Shari D, Angels Don't Fall. Not too many people in. Just a lot of Suso was in for 5 seconds. Not sure if he's still in. Petit Penguin. Brian Bradshaw is in. I think that's everybody. Joe Blore. Don't think I know you. Bit of Venom's in. Okay, so that's everybody. All right, I'm going to just cover this Sphinx one first because that was the one that I got from somebody else. And there had been a few complaints from a particular source on my last show that somebody seems to think I'm stealing Mandelas or something. I'll be frank, I don't really watch the other shows just because it takes a long time to watch a million shows. And there was a time when I used to watch a lot of the shows, and then there became more and more shows. And frankly, the time when I used to watch a lot of shows was when I didn't have a show, because now that oinks up a lot of my time. So if I happen to have a Mandela on that you had 3 weeks ago, if I stole it from your show, I would credit the source. So, and I also have to tell you guys, there's a lot of times when I have something on my show and then 2 months later, somebody else has that same thing on their show. And yeah, you don't know, did they see it on my show? Did they find it on their own? The truth is that we should be seeing a lot of the same Mandelas independently. There should be 5 of us going at different times. Wait a minute, I don't remember that existing or whatever. So anybody who thinks I'm stealing their Mandelas, I am not stealing your Mandelas. I am more than happy to just credit people if I'm taking it from another source. And usually if I do actually see it on another show, I won't cover it. But people write these in. So the one that they're saying I stole or whatever, I'm not sure what they're insinuating, is actually one that somebody posted on comments, and I just credited that person. So it wasn't even like I was saying I found it. That person, I don't know where that person found it from. But it also, I think, is another issue is that we all see the same media and social media and news things, and so it's not uncommon for like 2 or 3 people to post on the same week on my comments about the same, hey, I think this is a Mandela. So anyway, I don't know, we don't own the Mandelas, okay? It's like, I just want to say, just because you got it last week or last month, I won't always know. In fact, I usually won't. So if I know it's making the rounds, I will try my best to say who told me and where it came from. But a lot of times I don't know. So I guess you're just going to have to trust me on it. Okay, so enough of that business. All right, I'm going to cover this Sphinx one real quick because this is the one I did get from somebody else, and also I spent some time looking for all these images so I can clear the screen after I'm done. This one came from somebody on Retconned called Old Growth Weedling. That was the name of the username. OldGrowthWeedling. Okay, and the person just basically said, hey, there's a hole in the Sphinx's head. Now, we've been kind of seeing this thing with the gouges, but they've just gotten more extreme. So now, no matter what angle you look at it from, there's like a really deep hole like right here. And I don't know if that's symbolic or what, because it is kind of almost the third eye chakra. I think that's a little higher. But right between the eyes, there is a really deep hole. And also this nose area just looks kind of weird to me. This has been a little shifty, but there's also one other thing I wanted to cover. See how deep the hole is now? And this gouge has gotten more extreme. But there's also something weird going on here with the eye over like here and here. I'll cover that in a bit. So I just want to say, the latest changes basically to the never-ending change. And here's one more. See how deep that is now? And that one. But what I also wanted to show was this right in here. So now last time I mentioned that I had seen it written that there was traces of paint, but this is the first time I actually could visibly myself see a bunch of paint. This is paint or some kind of ochre paint stuff that they're saying the Sphinx was painted with at one time. Now I tried to nail it down. Was this like the original paint on, like, as far as we know, the original statue, or was it painted later? And I found different sources just vaguely saying different things. One source said the original paint, and another source said it was painted later, but it didn't say when, by whom. It's still old paint. So that's like really slippery right now, and I really couldn't nail it down, and none of the sources were clear, and none of the sources really gave details, so I don't know if it's in flux or what. But anyway, there is now like this red ochre paint visible. You can see it here and here. The other thing that's weird is like the chiseling here suddenly looks all like good. Like it's like here is all pitted, right? And scungy, but then right there it's all smooth, like it was done more recently, which I have never seen that before, and I feel like that's really weird. So you can kind of see it here. See how the texture is all different, and then it looks kind of mauve. I don't know what to make of that. That is just a whole nother something going on. Okay, now here's a close-up where you can see some of the red. So there's one color red here, which looks more purpley. And then one source was saying, well, maybe it's the natural staining of the stone. I'm like, well, deep purple from a stone stain? I don't know. That sounds... Also, it looks like there's some here. But this over here looks like a more of a cherry red. It looks like there was maybe lines through here, and there's something going on here. But this is kind of confusing because this really looks like some kind of cheesy repair too. So it shouldn't have the original red on it if it's a cheesy repair. So I don't know what the heck's going on with this mess now. Frankly, it's pretty strange. If anybody else knows anything on what this is supposed to be. Here again, you can see where this is kind of extra smooth, like it was done. I swear it looks like it was done just like way later or something. It's not weathered properly. I don't know. See, these other areas in through here that still get direct rain, they don't, I don't know. There's just something totally wrong and different about it now. So Sphinx, more changes, basically. How does it mean? I don't. Yeah, was it me? I want to say like every week. Oh, on Monday it was a shifty. But okay, so yes, a few days ago I did have a lot of weird nerve tingles and stuff. I don't know. I was pretty tired yesterday, today. I've heard it's going to be a very intense couple of days. Yeah, the amino acids and the B1 are really helping me. So even though I'm beat, but I'm not nearly as bad as it used to be. Sisso's off. I'll see you later. Thanks for coming by. Just reading. I don't even think we got to the part where I started talking yet. Okay, so that's all the Sphinx ones. Let me just move it to that other chat, live chat. Oh, I remembered by myself. It's a miracle. I slept all day. I was really sleepy today, but I do have like this mid-grade stimulant that I take sometimes when it's really bad because I had a lot of work I had to do today, and I have this thing at night. So it's the Primatene Mist tablets. I don't really recommend people take stimulants if you don't have to, but they're not strong enough to be addictive, and caffeine doesn't work on me. So there you go. Yeah, so the story now is it was painted red and then like yellow and blue and other parts. And I'm like, that sounds really tacky. News at 11. Okay, yeah, I don't think it has yet. Duck lip. Yeah, it looks like the lips are kind of melting now, like over here. It's from certain angles, it looks especially like it. I don't know. I don't even know what to make of it anymore. Chin area. Yeah, it doesn't really stick out anymore. You know, you're right. It looks like it's all chewed off down here, doesn't it? Like there used to be a chin, but now it's just, let's see, do we have a side view? Yeah, look, it ends too soon. Okay, there's the lips. You're right. It's like bit off or something. It like fell off. It did used to have a chin. You're right. It had an ordinary chin and then it ended, and now it's all raggedy on the bottom. Yeah, it's missing some of the lower piece. You're right. Good point. Good observation. Glad I read that. There has been a recent shift for sure. The last 3 weeks were something. Okay, good, because I don't know. You know, the amino acids are helping me a lot. So it's taking a lot of the edge off. But then when I'm on the aminos and then I start to get worse, I worry. I'm like, is the aminos wearing off or is it just a shift? So if everybody says it was a hard shift, then okay, we're good. And the aminos are still doing their job. Listerine flip flop back to Listerine. Oh, interesting. So for me, Listerine was always the spelling. So if you were in an LY universe, I could have been there because I don't remember ever hearing about that as a Mandela, frankly. Was that a big deal in your timelines? Because there's a few Mandelas that were big deal in my old timeline that now never were Mandelas. So it's getting weirder. I don't know. It's just getting so helter skelter with all the timelines and everybody from a different timeline and the flip flops. And it's like, yesterday I was talking to somebody on chat and they had seen a Mandela last week for, what is that? What's that song? The Macarena. Okay. This was from DIY is the nickname we'll give that person. And, so I don't know if you guys remember, but years ago, there was a Mandela for the Macarena. And the thing is, I never really did the Macarena, so I didn't really have it memorized. I mean, I know basically how it goes, but I didn't have it like totally memorized. So everybody's like, then they said it changed, and then, oh no, wait, there's 2 versions. And I'm like, I don't think there was 2 versions. But then, of course, the skeptics are like, oh, you just don't know everything, and there was 2 versions. So that was the Mandela is where you got arguing whether there's a new version or there was always 2 versions. Well, as far as I can tell, there's not 2 versions anymore. I spent a bunch of time looking yesterday. I couldn't find any knowledge of 2 versions. There's different versions of the song by slight variations, but there's only one version of the dance, and that was the Mandela. Okay, so she had seen last week that the dance had changed to her, and she was telling me about it. And then we went to look for it like yesterday, I think it was. And the version she saw last week wasn't there anymore. Now it's her original version again, which I think is my original version. So does that make it a flip flop? But the 2 versions is gone. The version that she saw last week is gone. And now it's back to the version she remembers. Now it sounds like the one she saw last week was like half the moves were cut out And I'm thinking maybe they repeated that twice before you do the shift over to the, and if you do the dance, you do the dance, and then at one point you change direction that you're looking in. And so I'm thinking they split it in half, and then you go through it twice instead of once. I don't know, but it's just crazy because it's like that was just there last week, and now you go to show somebody and it's gone already. It's getting like so scrambly, like a salad, It's hard to keep track of anything. Oh, no one has the LY Listerine. I mentioned it in a video in 2018-ish. I'm still looking for it. Oh, okay, so that was your timeline then with the LY. Yeah, I don't know that one. Okay, so Shari remembers the LY for a while. A couple nights ago, I woke up with fire needle sensation on my palms of my hands. Felt like Iron Man. So, like, what was it? I felt like some weird tingles and almost pain, but not pain, like going through nerves that go up through my hips. So it kind of would be like sciatica, but it was like you could feel it going along, and then it didn't like hurt later. It just was fixed. So I don't know. It was like first in the one and then the other. And then like my shoulder was hurting, then that shoulder was hurting for like no reason. I don't know. It's just I just call it being nervy because it's like the nerves, this nerve feels weird, then that nerve feels weird for no good reason. It's not like I, did any heavy exercise that day or anything. And then I'll be really tired, and I have been. I've been really tired for a couple days. Even though I'm doing all the right things, those usually if I do certain things, I should have good days. Like eat my aminos and don't eat too much food and like maintain a regular sleep schedule. I did all of those things, so I shouldn't be sleepy. There's a great dance step poster that shows the original dance, and it has the missing parts that you do not see in the original music video. Huh, I don't know where that was, and I don't think I've ever seen it. Myers rum hit me hard because I just stalked it. That's right. You should totally know because, you work in that industry. I don't know my alcohol very well, so unfortunately, those changes I'm like, unless it's like a really well-known thing. Pretty sure I've seen both Listerine with the I and Listerine with the Y. I have never seen the Y, so interesting. So, oh, it's Myers, Myers apostrophe S. Myers's? Yeah, no, that doesn't make sense. I think aren't you supposed to just do an apostrophe with no second S in those situations? I thought that was proper English. Not that English doesn't make any sense anymore. Like in my old timeline, there was always a U after a Q. So hence the older Mandela of Qantas being Quantas. Always. And my teachers would say that is one rule in English that was not broken, that there is always a U after a Q. But that's out the window now. There's half the time there's not a U after the Q. Joe Blower, I've been on your stream last 4 weeks, man. We are really shifting. It could be that I don't always read the visitors, so that could be part of it. Myers is all right. I'm looking it up. Myers rum. Myers. I almost want to say it obviously has to be a Mandela because it's just ridiculous. And my old timeline really had very few wonky spellings. Almost everything was spelled properly. Oh yeah, see, Myers is. And I'm not a huge rum fan either. I'm more, I like vodka. I like wine. Long ago, I had some rum and eggnog, and it made my stomach very upset. I didn't get like ill like from the alcohol so much, or just somehow about the combo. I mean, it wasn't enough alcohol to do a lot in the drunk department, but it was for some reason my stomach's okay with eggnog by itself, but somehow either there was something wrong with one of them or the two in combination. So ever since then, I'm like, no rum. Oh, Myers is yeah, that looks ridiculous. There it is. And like Miers's. I mean, if I saw that, I'd be like Miers's Jamaican run. Like where's the E? I don't know. Yeah, it looks pretty weird. I mean, I certainly can't say I know anything about Myers's, but it definitely looks like the classic Mandela goofiness. Damien G is off. Well, thank you for coming. Appreciate that. Let's see. How far am I? I don't even know. How long have I been going? 8:40. It's only been 10 minutes, so you click in like 10 minutes after the show starts. Captain Morgan. It's not Oh yeah, that's right. They changed it to Cap'n or something. That one I do know. Captain Morgan I know because of the commercials. Captain Morgan. Let's see. What does it look like? No, it's still the same for me. Yeah, Captain. Yeah, Captain Morgan has not changed for me. I don't see anything. That was Captain Crunch that changed. Okay, so yeah, no S for me. Captain Morgan. That is correct for me. All right, now one thing I do have to say is I have not known Captain Morgan really long. So if it was like 20 years ago, something different. I probably knew it just the last 5 years, and you know, there's been a lot of Mandela since then. Colorado Skywatch. I used to bartend. No way was it spelled like this. Yeah, yeah. I before E except after C, or E before I except after Y. I don't remember that second half because I frankly did not pay good attention in school sometimes. I remember the first half. It sounds, I know there was some other spiel after I before you see E except after C, but I don't remember what it was. It's come to a time when we must call ourselves something. Check the aerial photo of America, 1860. Okay, hold on. Doink. I actually do have a couple of really interesting, kind of freaky Mandelas that I'll get to here in a second. $1860. Okay, well that wasn't that long ago. So I assume this is this. Well, there's a bunch of these. Is it this one at the top? This one has really good. This one has a lot of zooming capacity. I can't remember what the word is. Aerial view of America. That's only a little tiny sliver of America. Am I even like at all looking at what you want me to look at? Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. Okay. Okay, you're right. I don't think I have ever seen aerial. Well, now they have that thing where those like pigeons can carry cameras. Remember I covered that like a few years ago, I think now, where they had the little backpacks for pigeons. Sometimes I say this stuff, I'm like, I can't believe I'm saying this because it's ridiculous, but it's true now. The pigeon backpacks could have took it. But we've got a lot of ballooning and stuff in the current timeline too, so it could have come from there. That one's a tiny one. Let's find a better one. Wow, that's a nice photo. I don't know if they're claiming that that has been rehabilitated, but yeah. Okay, well, if there's anything specific, I do agree I don't remember seeing any aerial photos. Now that you mention it, I kind of just wasn't clicking it together. Sometimes you got to give me a little hint where we're going because I'm already thinking about the next ones, plus trying to find it. Yeah, they had backpacks for pigeons. I'm not joking, where they would put little tiny cameras, okay? Because it's not just that they were wearing backpacks, but they were wearing mini cameras that they could then have the pigeon fly up and take photos. Okay, so let's get into some weird now. So why did I have those snakes there? Okay. It wasn't because of the alcohol per se, but there's two weird ones that are kind of related today, and I found them both this week. Now, if this was the old days, I would say this has to just be baloney and someone's making up crap. But the way things are going, I have to give this at least a mention. All right, let's see. How about this? Finger. Let's see. I think I want Eagle Castle Winery. There it is. All right, so I ran across this and I'm like, no freaking way. Can snakes live in alcohol? So what happened was I ran across this story and this woman claimed, and I mean, this is like, scandal sheet baloney normally, I would say, but this woman claimed that she had a jar, like a bottle of wine with a snake in it on the shelf for months, and then they opened it and the snake came back to life and bit her. And I'm like, okay, that's just total baloney, right? Right? But then I look up and there's other people saying, well, we've seen it and we think it can happen. Can snakes survive in alcohol? So this is from a winery, okay? So the story is they drop a venomous snake into the alcohol alive, sometimes from an endangered species, into a jar of rice wine or other alcohol. It's left there to steep for several months while the ethanol absorbs the essence of the snake and breaks down the venom. So supposedly it's just another one of these medicinal things, like it's supposed to have medicinal properties. I swear every weird thing anymore is medicinal properties, ancient Chinese medicine, whatever. But that's the story with these snakes. So, for a while, all I ever saw was like little bugs in there, like, right? Like a worm, the worm, right? You'd see a worm in there, or you'd see like a cockroach. But then lately I've been seeing these snakes and like giant snakes and not even that much alcohol. And I'm like, wouldn't it just rot in there? Because they're so fat, you could put little stuff in alcohol, but since when can you put a giant monster snake and not so much alcohol? Anyway, so that's one thing I'm already suspicious about. But then we get to this. Although snake wine is made from venomous snakes, it's safe to drink because the ethanol in the rice wine denatures the snake's venom. Okay, here's where we get to the good part. Can snakes survive in wine? There has been a case of snake having its revenge by biting the woman who marinated it in the wine for 2 months. If the snakes are kept in a non-airtight vessel with enough oxygen, so basically saying that if your cap is not like really, really airtight and some air can get through, they could enter a condition similar to hibernation, enabling them to stay alive for long periods of time. Okay, then there's just other blah, blah, blah. But there's like several places here, like a couple different reports of people gotten bit. So then you have to kind of say, well, then, if the only ones that are making it, the only stories that are coming forward are people actually getting bit, then there has to be other times when the thing lived or wiggled or something, but they didn't get bit, right? I don't know. I just, I don't know, but it's just, there's going to be another one of these in the show too. So it's not alcohol, but it's other weird stuff. Let's see. Does this one have anything about the woman? So there's a couple different cases if you dig around. One of them was a woman. Oh, here, this one was the one I think I saw. Wine snake bites woman after spending 3 months in the bottle, where it had been fermenting for 3 months and bit a woman's hand. The woman named Liu from can't read it now. Liu from Shuangcheng in Heilongjiang province decided to add more alcohol to a bottle of snake wine, considering a powerful medicine used to treat her rheumatism. The snake was pickled for 3 months. Whenever the woman needed a swig, she would pour a small shot of the wine from a spigot located at the bottom of the bottle. When the bottle was empty, Liu decided to refill it with more alcohol. When she opened the lid, the snake started to breathe and wiggled and sprang out, biting her finger. It does seem like a weird story. If you saw that thing wiggling and stuff, would you have your finger anywhere near there? This wasn't the first time a snake survived in snake wine. In 2009, a snake that had been preserved for 2 months bit a Chinese villager. In 2001, a snake killed a villager in the Guangxi Zhuang Autonomous Region. Instances of snakes surviving months in alcohol may stem from their ability to hibernate. By lowering their metabolic and heart rate, they can stay alive as long as the bottle is not airtight. So basically, it seems that and sometimes snakes can survive in alcohol now. And they're like submerged in the alcohol too, all the way underneath there, like their whole head. So I just don't get it. I mean, like, that's just shouldn't be possible. Snakes can hibernate, not just any old liquid, freaking alcohol. Why would anybody do that to snakes or any living creature? I don't know. They didn't have it in my old timeline, and this timeline is just weird. You know, like I said, the story is it's Chinese medicine or something. Every weird thing now, it's, Chinese medicine. Levitating spiders, alcohol-breathing snakes. Talk about reaping what you sow. Yeah. Well, it cured the rheumatism. Find out that snake bites cure rheumatism. She's lucky it wasn't some kind of deadly poisonous guy. Okay, so that's one whack doodle McToodle. All right, now let's see. Now we're going to get to, let's go to the next one that's similar. Let's go back to lobsters because they're not done being strange. I think I had something. It seems that I did not pick out a good particular article on this one yet. somewhere there was one, let's see, how about it was that, darn it. I just saw it earlier today too. Where did it go? I don't want to know about freezing and thawing lobsters. All right, let's try this one. Okay, froze it here. This is it. This is it. This is it. Okay, so this is okay, so if you remember in the old times, they used to say that you could not like be frozen and then revivified. You could not be defrosted and be okay because when you got frozen, it would cause ice crystals to form in your cells, and the ice crystals would damage the cells and destroy all your cells so that you couldn't be unfrozen and survive. That was the story. The ice crystals, those stinky ice crystals. So then, what was that, 10 or 15 years ago, we started hearing about creatures that would have like antifreeze in their blood that would protect against the ice crystals so they could freeze up and still like not die. Then they could defrost again. But it was just a few, just a few, just a few. It wasn't lobsters, okay? So here's the story now is the lobsters don't have antifreeze in their blood, but they're saying if you freeze them fast enough, then they won't get too many ice crystals, and in some cases, they could come back to life. So the story is a Connecticut company says its frozen lobsters sometimes come back to life when thawed. True Fresh began freezing lobsters with a technique it used for years on salmon, which was like a real fast freeze technique. But it wasn't meant to be like, eternal life freezing, but it was just quicker. It found that some lobsters revived after their sub-zero sojourns. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, now they're talking about how to freeze lobsters. It's weird because it's like, I don't care about how to freeze lobsters. I want to know about these guys coming back to life. Are frozen lobsters cryonics? Call it cryonics for crustaceans. So somewhere I also read that they did a study where they froze 30 of them using their quick freeze technique. And then they defrosted them all to see how many came back to life. And 2 out of the 30 came back to life is the current story. I have a feeling we're going to hear more on this. We've already got a weird kind of thing going on for many years now where, if you drown but the water's cold and somehow you'd be preserved. And now we've got people who were, dead for 40 minutes under the freezing water and then revived and in good shape. So now we have literal freezing and revivification of these lobsters. Something's going on with, we got snakes living in alcohol, and we've got frozen lobsters coming back to life. Can you freaking imagine? You get a lobster out of the freezer and you defrost it and it starts moving? Well, we're heading that way. I don't know. Bit of venom's off. How does one still? I don't know, but I guess they think I keep snagging theirs. The thing is, I almost never even have seen their show. Certainly not in a long time. But when I watch other people's shows that have a lot of Mandelas, they often have Mandelas that I've already had on. So, I mean, I guess I can see why people might think that, but it's just like there's a lot of Mandelas. But the thing is, okay, so Shari said she found it on Scarab's show, but the thing is, this is not my show. Why was I kicked out? I don't know. I didn't kick you out. I don't know. Did you get kicked out of somewhere? I don't even know. Anyway, I don't even want to get into all that. It's just like that's why I didn't really want to name names and stuff. I just want to say, look, I don't know. Every now and then this stuff comes up. Like, I mean, I kind of see how it is. Like I said, when I watch other shows and there's a lot of times they'll have one on that I've had on in the past. Like a lot of times. It's just there's been a lot of Mandelas on this show, and the show's been going for years. So, man, I'm like all over the place. Okay, that's an old comment. So many mayor names have been changed to Meyer. I wonder if that's going to be the new Oscar Meyer, because it used to be Oscar Mayer, and then it changed to Oscar Meyer hot dogs, and that is a really old Mandela for me. Like it changed in the 70s. As the Tower of Babel began to fall with language, I feel like it. Defiantly was a word though. Like if you're defiant, you could defiantly bang down the door or something. But if you're saying like I am defiantly right, that is weird. Um, I don't know. There's a lot of words that have sort of showed up in writing now that I've never heard of. One, what was the least one? Darn it, now I can't remember the name of it. Sometimes I have to hear it a couple times. It's another word for like a chunk. Like they'll say a chunk of this information has been released, and it's like chanklib, but it's not that. It's something like that. And it just showed up like last month, and now I'm just seeing it all the time. So anyway, if you got those alcohol, if you have those alcohol snakes, be careful. Well, anyway, all I gotta say is, if I get it from somewhere, I always credit it. I don't know. Some of these things could travel through 10 people before they get to me, but whatever. Yeah, see, that's the other thing. It's like I can have it where it just changed for me, and I swear it's brand new. Like I just saw this yesterday. And sometimes I will look it up if it's like, um, oh, if it's easy to look up, I'll look it up and I'll find someone found it like 2 years ago. Yeah, that's what I mean. I credit random Reddit accounts from Retcon. I'm not gonna like skip a giant person that it doesn't make any sense. Okay, so you're thinking the person might have been saying definitely instead of defiantly, but then they would be putting the accent in the wrong spot. If you say definitely, it's got to be at the first syllable. Definitely. If you say definitely define, then you're putting the accent somewhere else. Ethiopia is different location than you remember. Let's check it out. Ethiopia. I'm not too good on Ethiopia. The one thing I don't love about this Swiss cows search engine, it doesn't have a map listing. Like other ones you can click and just get maps only, but it doesn't have that. I probably should just do MapQuest or something. Oh, it does look weird. I don't remember what. Okay, yeah. So, Africa is so weird now. I don't remember this with like these skinny little countries and then Ethiopia so close. It's like Ethiopia got gypped out of a coastline here. I don't remember Somalia looking like this either at all. Kenya seems okay. Sudan and South Sudan, is that a recent change? Because I don't remember that either. Okay, yeah, I don't know. There is definitely something going on with there. Djibouti. I'm not sure if I remember that one existing a long time ago either. Remember that freezing would cause DNA damage that part of your body could never heal, for instance, frostbite. Yeah, it was the ice crystals. The ice crystals would just shred your cell, basically. So one problem with all the spell checks is that I notice that kids who do writing now, like millennials and younger, they'll make mistakes a lot that spell check can't find, like your apostrophe with a Y-O-U apostrophe R-E versus Y-O-U-R, because those spell check can't find those. They're both words. Or they'll use a word wrongly, but it is a word. So spell check won't understand that that's a mistake. So that's the mistake, and they'll make that mistake over and over again, because if spell check doesn't find it, then they don't know it's a mistake. Vegas was in Nevada. Las Vegas is still in Nevada, right? I'm Las Vegas, Nevada, right? I'm pretty sure that's still true. Las Vegas, 'cause I'm pretty sure it's still in Nevada, right? Yeah, Las Vegas, Nevada tourism. Okay. Don't scare me like that. And a lake in the Nevada desert. Yeah, all the lakes are getting bigger. Like Salton Sea's getting huge. Yeah, no, it's still late. It's still in Nevada. Sapioit's got some to add. Oh, was at the elbow of Nevada. Okay, I'm not sure on that one. I'm not sure. All right, I'm going to crack on with a few more since you guys have some you're going to do. Okay, so what's going on with lobsters? Okay, it's not just that they can apparently come back to life from freezing, but they have a couple other weird things. And I'm just going to jam through this instead of looking it up. But basically, they pee through their face now. Golden showers for these guys. Okay, and I didn't say that. Okay, they pee through their face. And then it's some kind of mating ritual thing. So literally, all right, I'll look it up. I feel weird trying to say it. I feel better like reading the official spiel. It gets like this. So these are the ones that can be like half in the middle, one color, another color, and they come like in every weird freaking color now. Lobsters. So there's 10 weird things about lobsters, but there's really just 2 of them that I thought were like extra weird. And some of those I already covered, so just these 2. It was number 8. Lobsters pee out of their faces. Lobsters pees from openings, nephrophores, located at the base of its second antenna. These excretory organs are called green glands and include a sac linked to a bladder by a coiled tube. It's also part of a lobster mating ritual. Male lobsters love to fight. Dominant male in the area and show their interest by peeing repeatedly into its shelter. Their urine contains pheromones, which calms him down and gets him in the mood. Yeah. Lobsters urinate in each other's face during fights to express themselves. Okay. All right. Then there's another one actually. I'll ask you this one. Where is the lobster's teeth located at? That's the question for you guys. Where? Let me give you a clue. It's not the mouth. Okay. Where are the teeth located at on a lobster? All right. And number 6, which is least creepy, is they can regrow their claws or their legs. And I don't think that was the case way back. This might be older change, but I don't remember those being. It was like lizards, and I don't remember lobsters being able to regrow their. So basically saying when they molt, if they've lost any claws or any legs, they'll regrow them at the molt. Like pretty fast, I guess, because so they'll molt and then they'll have to grow those back real quick before the shell hardens. And they're just as good as before. They're not like stunted or anything, so pretty cool. All right, that's that one. Let's see what you guys are up to. Where, and no cheating now, this has to be a guess. All right, now somebody's coming up with a bunch of them. Any Mandela effects happens in Vegas, stays in Vegas. Yeah, well, I don't know. I wish that the peeing lobsters would stay in Vegas, frankly. Vegas was in the middle of the desert. I agree with you there. There was no lakes or no mountains. In fact, that was kind of the thing. It's like there's this ridiculous giant place in the middle of the desert and there's no water and now they have a freaking lake. Okay, well, I guess that's good for Vegas. I have heard of, you know what heads before. Yeah, man. I know. It's like, it's another troll. It's another troll. And you eat these freaking lobsters. Although they did say, luckily, we don't eat the face, but still. Okay, we got some new Christ statues. Check those out. Are they new or new old? Okay, everybody knows about Christ the Redeemer. What about Christ of the Abyss, Florida Keys? Cristo de Otero. Those look pretty new, though. I don't know. There's so many massive statues now. Now, one question I have is, that first one, that wasn't Christ the Redeemer, was it? This is not, right? Because I'm pretty sure it didn't have that. I'm going to have to do a quick check of Christ the Redeemer, but I'm pretty sure that is not it. Christ the Redeemer is very shifty. Let me just check it real quick. Okay, yeah, it doesn't have a giant heart. Now, last I checked it, it had the little heart. There's like a little heart on the somewhere on there. And there was that shift with the dress looking legs and the giant black stand. It used to be a smaller white stand. It doesn't look like it's shifted too much since then, though. I know size is kind of hard. If it makes a huge shift, you can tell on size, but you know, it could change like by 50 feet. We wouldn't know. All right, let's see what else we got here. All right, bit of Venom's guessing teeth and butt. Texas wasn't at the coast for me too. Yeah, I think Texas was like over with like Mexico under it before. I swear they were a lot closer to Cali and they've just been like cruising it's been cruising east. Okay, so they actually have teeth It's a trick question. There's two right answers. Some places said that the teeth are in the claws, and they showed a close up of the claws, and they really do look like teeth now. And I think I've mentioned before that I've seen changes in the claws of a lot of creatures, including crabs. With the claws have gotten more bumpy, and more changes in coloration and variation in coloration on the claw. So some places were saying that their teeth are in their claws, but then probably the more prominent answer is they now have teeth in their stomach. They actually have. Now, it used to be for me just the grazing animals had multiple stomachs, but now apparently lobsters do too. And they have teeth in their stomach, and the organ is called it's a special stomach for teeth. This is so weird saying this stuff. Okay. And it's called, what was the thing again? Oh, dang it. I thought I had that. I think it was like grinding organ or something. Lobster, teeth in stomach. I thought I was all prepared, and now I go to do it, and I'm like not prepared. Oops. Lobster's teeth are in its stomach. They break up their food with the strong teeth located inside their stomachs. A lobster's stomach is behind its eyes. I didn't catch that one. Well, no wonder it pees from its face. Its right stomach is up there. It uses its mouth parts and first two sets of walking legs to manipulate the food. It's got 3 stomachs. It's interesting because some places said that lobsters have 2 stomachs. And then later you'll say, well, no, it has 3 stomachs. So it's like, are you counting the teeth stomach? How many teeth do lobsters have? The teeth, which look like similar to 3 molars. Oh, yes, the gastric mill. That's what they're calling it. So they're not the only guys who have this gastric mill now. It seems like a lot of other little sea beasties have them. 3 molars in their first stomach, and that's their gastric mill. 3 stomachs begin to work of digestion. The first stomach contains a gastric mill that pulverizes the clam. Then it doesn't talk about the other 2 stomachs. I don't know. No, the animals with the blue blood. Which animal has teeth in its nose? The cat-sized Pacus shushu's capillimi has relatively long legs and a nose similar to a dog's. Cat crocodile has mammal-like teeth that give the crocodile a power previously unknown among reptiles, the ability to chew. Okay, now I gotta look that up. Teeth in its nose. So I guess its nose is where the food goes then. This is like never-ending string of Mandela effects. If I went and checked out like which animals have gastric mills, then that would be a whole nother one. You could just go on and on and on. Maybe they're extinct creatures that had the teeth in their nose. Oh, these crocs are made for biting. Oh, so it's a crocodile. Oh, complete skull and skeleton. Okay, so I think these are now extinct. Were made for chewing. Fossil cat crocodile had mammal-like teeth. Okay, all right, that's just an ancient creature then. Wouldn't be surprised if something shows up, but for now, next week we'll have tooth in our belly buttons. Hey, you got a brain in your stomach. You can have teeth. Is Al Gore and his documentary An Inconvenient Truth still a thing? As far as I know, Houston, we have a problem. Yeah. Yeah, there's blue blood now. Like lobsters have it, and those horseshoe crabs have it, and there's a couple others. I think some like eels or squids or something. You're missing a lot by buffering. You can try like logging out and logging back in, or like refreshing the screen. Sometimes that'll fix it. Because it doesn't seem like anybody else is having a problem, and my computer seems to be clacking along better than average anyway. Okay, so we got that one. Okay, flying squirrels. Flying squirrels. I do not believe that we had any flying squirrels in the United States before. I'm quite positive. I've never expected to see one because they were like in Africa, okay? Africa. But not anymore. In fact, they are in New York City and other places. New York City has two species of flying squirrel now. Apparently, North America has two species of flying squirrel, and they are the southern flying squirrel and the northern flying squirrel. And ironically, the southern flying squirrel is on the east, and the northern flying squirrel is on the northeast and on the west coast and on Idaho and Montana. That's the northern flying squirrel. And then the southern flying squirrel is on the east from Maine to Florida. So it should be the eastern flying squirrel as far as I'm concerned, but it is the southern. So I don't know, are they going to squeeze to the south then, or what? Are the names going to make any sense later? So we have them now in California, and it is the and so they said there's only two kinds, right? Like multiple websites said there's only two kinds. But then I looked up California flying squirrel, and they said California has the San Bernardino flying squirrel. And I'm like, well, is that a northern and a southern? It's a San Bernardino flying squirrel. So San Bernardino is like just a little inland of Los Angeles. So on the west coast, towards the bottom of Cali, San Bernardino, and they are extant. They do exist in San Bernardino, the flying squirrel. So that's not far from here, and I would not be surprised if we get our own flying squirrels soon at the rate things are going, because the salmon have almost come down this far. Flying squirrels have shown up. There's been other creatures that have showed up here that, like foxes. We don't have freaking foxes. And you could see it in like the next door listings. Like people are, when the neighbors chat online, they're like, I didn't know we had foxes. I didn't know we had foxes. Well, because we didn't. So yeah, flying squirrels, woohoo. I kind of, when I was a kid, I thought those were so neat and I wish we had them. But we do now have them. Okay, so we got those. Got that. Okay. Let me see what you guys are up to. Damn it, yeah, I don't think Texas was on the coast. Yeah, I know, Texas has been bugging me. USA map. All right, let's get one that shows Mexico. Okay, so you can see here now it has all this coast. I think before that, like Mexico was more in here. I don't think it was as big as it is now, because California used to be bigger and Mexico is smaller than Cali. So I think it was a little smaller, and it was more like it would dip into Mexico. And I think this Louisiana, Mississippi, those look real crowded right now, and I think that those guys, I'll try to move it over so my face doesn't block anything. I think these guys used to peel over here and cover this. And I also think that Mexico used to be more straight across here and have a lot of this coast also. I think Texas has like oinked some coastline from Mexico here. This coastline here also just looks bigger. I just remember it being kind of a smaller scoop here. So, I think this Gulf of Mexico range is getting larger. At least compared to the sizes of everything else. I just remember it being more like just like this, not like way over here. Let's see. Feels like this is still dipping down up here too. Canada is stabbing into us. Looks like some lakes growing up over here. These lakes here are getting big. These little, it used to be just the three Great Lakes, but I mean, like Lake Erie and Ontario were way smaller. Then you see up here, this has got like a whole nother lake going on. And now it's branched off into another whole nother lake. Lake Superior is getting something going on over here now. But even more so, Michigan is growing this finger. Lake Michigan, I should say. They're getting a lot of islands in here that I don't remember there being before. Pretty big looking ones. Yeah, stuff's going on. Look at over here. This is just chewing out in here. It wasn't that chewed. I think that's New York, right? New York is just getting chomped. No, that's Maryland. Wow. Okay, Maryland. Oh, yeah, New York's up there. Oh, wait, New York isn't as weird anymore. Oh, interesting. Oh, okay, there's the part. Yeah, that was the weird part of New York I didn't remember. Okay. That didn't change for a while then. Whoops. I remember learning at school that the statue was on Ellis Island. Yep. They would come in at the statue and fill out all the paperwork. Coastal State, Texas. So when did I first see that? I think it was like a month ago. So it might be kind of new, but I haven't really been checking that often, so I'm not really sure. I remember thinking it was weird, but I'm like, oh, there's times when I see something, I'm like, I'm not going to say anything because I'm not sure. But then if somebody else says it, I'm like, okay, they said it too. So it wasn't just me. Yeah, Cuba's still coming in, blocking off that Gulf, and it is getting larger. Soon there's a bridge from USA from Cuba. Yeah, I don't know. That the new story will be like, they're just the throwing distance away, but because of the arguments with Castro, we didn't build the bridge or something. New CERN experiments going on since March 23. Oh, okay. We might see some weird new changes. I guess that'll be interesting to keep an eye out for. In my timeline, Texas was above Mexico with almost no water in it, near it. Okay, that's what I remember. It like dipped down into Texas. I mean into Mexico. And so that was what was under it, was Mexico, not like the coast. So yeah, we've got coastal Poland and coastal Texas. Yeah, look at all of that. It looks like it's got more coast than the last time I even looked. Okay, so for me, Texas was on like this half near California. It wasn't that big a jaunt over, but it's really kind of in the middle of the country now, here on the bottom, and it's big. Bit of a random Vedum remembers it above Mexico also. All right, so yes, we all agree. Woohoo, I'm glad. Sometimes I'm just like, if I say that and maybe I'm just remembering it wrong, it's like I'm just not sure on some of these. I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's something weird, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay, this one. Okay, I'm clicking along at a pretty good rate. Fingerprint Island. This is a weird one that showed up like 2 weeks ago, maybe. Not much info on this one. It's called Fingerprint Island in Croatia. So all of these are like ancient wall structures. The story behind it's a little wonky. Some places are saying that all these little walls were made to block the wind so that they could grow crops. I really don't see how effective that would be. Wouldn't you just have to grow crops that could tolerate wind, would seem like more likely. But then there was other people saying, no, that's to like control livestock. But they look kind of tiny spaces for livestock. I don't know. It's weird. See if I can find it again. I wasn't able to even find much info on this. The actual name of it. Okay, here's a close-up. I had the name written down, but I wasn't able to find anything with the name. So, oh yeah, here is Belgianac Island. So see how close these are? I don't see how you're going to keep much livestock in here. So of course they're kind of crumbled down now, but they don't look like they were that high. I mean, there's not a giant pile next to here. So like, what's up with Fingerprint Island? Belgianac Island. Belgianac Island. Let's see if there's anything coming up, because last week there was like nothing. Bavel-Lejnak, the island of 1,000 walls. Okay. That does sound like it. Okay, there's more showing up now, so... Completely covered by walls built of stones piled on top of each other. Built by superimposing simple stones to delimit agricultural plots. Superimposing simple stones. Doesn't it mean like stacking them? Who is this like nerd trying to make it sound complicated? Superimposing simple stones to delimit agricultural plots. Mark. Not delimit. They're just trying to make it sound fancy. It just makes me crazy. Ooh, superimposing. I'm gonna go superimpose some stones. People be like, what? Let's see. Farmers from the neighboring island of Caprigi are said to have started the agricultural colonization of the island, although some of the walls may have been built earlier. These networks of walls are indeed found, should be the word, in some neighboring islands, although the island of Belgianac is the largest concentration of these walls. This uninhabited island has physiognomy totally transformed by man. I've never heard that word before. An uninhabited island has a physiognomy totally transformed by man. Okay. I don't know. It's just tiny little plots. I feel like my yard has more space than that. And then it's all rocky. I mean, what are they growing in here and stuff? I don't know. This whole story seems a little wonky to me. And like, why do all that when you could just do it on the... Are you going to paddle your boat out here, all the way out here to like farm a little tiny smegma of land? Something's a little strange. These agricultural plots give it a physical and totally improvised plot plan, almost random. Seen from the sky, the island looks like a maze. So they made all that, and like, how did they decide who gets what little goofy... I don't know. This is just weird. Like, oh, you get 5 feet over here, and you get, there's something off with this whole storyline. Okay, so this whole storyline is, I think we're gonna get something else out of this. I just can't see how this is gardening as the excuse. And they are saying there was some of these inland too in spots. I mean, unless there was, I mean, if you were in Japan, squashed millions of you into a tiny little spot and you all got a postage stamp to garden on, it might make a tad of sense, but I don't get this. Seattle is at the northwestern edge of Washington state. So, since I'm not from Washington, I can tell you there's been a lot of wonky shifting around of the cities in California. So I will not be in the least surprised if the same happened in other states. And even whole states have moved for me. So I trust you. Looks like a fingerprint. Yeah, so it's called Fingerprint Island. I grew up vacationing in Croatia, never seen this before. Interesting. So they're saying that these fingerprints exist in other places in Croatia too. So, yeah, ask around if you know anybody in there and see if they know what the heck was going on. Nonsensical explanation for something unusual makes it more acceptable unless you think about it. Yes, that's a lot of now. I just go, now that I don't trust reality, I don't trust their podunk stories either. It's just like everything is anything weird about an animal is for competing for mates. Like why would a female want a male that had is not well adapted to the environment? It's just an excuse for them to be weird. Really feels like becoming lucid in a dream. Yes, I do. And in the way everything, like, it's like everything is kind of foggy too. It's like you're trying to struggle to become lucid when it's a little like you're a little altered or something. It just feels like my consciousness is not the same as it used to be. A good process for me. It seems I'm getting more and more fearless as time goes on. I do feel like I am, yes. I would not say I'm without fear, but there's a lot of things that I just like, whatever, I don't care, that used to be a thing for me. And it is freeing because the less fear, then it's just less things to worry about. Same as the weird excuses when you confront somebody with the Mandela effect, they don't make sense. Exactly. And people don't want to hear it, like people that used to like me questioning and everything. Also, I've noticed a lot of them don't like it anymore. I've really had to dial it back. I can let it rip on here. $10, thank you, Jay Emblin. I appreciate it very much. I can kind of let it rip on here and just go, well, that doesn't make sense. And well, why did they do that? And then somebody will come back with an excuse, like, not you guys, but you guys know better. But like, these weird stories and excuses, and I'll rip into them. And people don't want to hear, but that doesn't make any sense anymore. They don't want to hear the questioning at all. It's just like you're just like too needly or something. So I just had to like I don't say I've totally learned, but I'm learning to just keep my mouth shut a little more, maybe. No news update about Chick Channel. Hope she's okay. I haven't heard anything. Yeah. Emmy is so normal compared to everything going on. I don't know. I still think Emmy is a lot weirder, but because of Emmy, I've been able to not worry about worldly things as much, because like the Uyghurs that China is supposedly oppressing. Okay, well in my old timeline it was the Mongolians. The Mongolians were getting a lot of the same crap that the Uyghurs are supposedly getting this timeline. I don't even know what's happening. I hope it's not even happening. I don't know if it is or not, but it's just weird that it's like suddenly the Mongolians have their own country, and now there's this new. You play the role of the victims of China now. So, like, what am I supposed to think about that? I mean, is it real? Is it Memorex? Topography is a traditional term replaced by physiography. Yeah, but he had some other word in there. It wasn't physiography. It was another word. Now I'm looking for that word because you got me worked up. Physiognomy. Well, now that's not the word you just gave me. You gave me the word physio. No, you didn't say physiology. Or physiognomy. Okay, yeah, physiognomy. No, I have not. So it used to be topology, but now it's physiognomy. All right. We have to change the word for everything. Was Will Smith like mind controlled when he did that to Chris Rock? I actually think that was all fake. I mean, I'm not for sure, but I have a feeling that it was just done for ratings. Maybe it backfired a little, but I think it's. I was looking at it, and since I grew up, well, I didn't grow up, but I spent a lot of time in LA, and I saw how fake everything is behind the scenes, and how often they make something look like it's spontaneous when it's totally not. Like almost all the time when you see something spontaneous, it's not. And then I look at, well, Will Smith has no history of doing anything like this. He doesn't have a temper problem, blah, blah. And then the fact that they're both the same race, so there can't be any arguments about racism, and the fact that he really didn't look that mad. And then I played it frame by frame, and it really looks like his hand completely past the face. And then after that, Chris Rock suddenly swang off to the side. Just a tiny little bit of delay in the smack. I look at the fact that when I've seen real smacks quite hard, like on Reddit, you see bar brawls and stuff. When you see real smacks, they barely move their head. I mean, it just hurts. They don't swing way over like that. And then Chris Rock, apparently, after all that swinging of his head and everything, did not call for medical, did not have anybody check. No security came up. No charges were pressed. I just don't think it's real. I think that they wanted some limelight. Now, maybe Will Smith, they played this storyline like he was protecting his wife's honor, right? So maybe they thought that would play a little bit better than it did, and that he wouldn't get as much crap as he has. But I felt like it was totally staged. All I can say is my many years in Los Angeles, and I used to work back when I was really poor and really needed money on my days off from my regular job and in between school. You could go and get paid to be an audience member because they didn't have enough audience members for some shows. And I did that for like quite a while, doing different shows. And I saw all the shenanigans behind the screen, behind the camera. And Pfizer was the sponsor of that event, and Pfizer is bringing a new drug for alopecia in the market. Connect the dots. Yes, Shari. I just actually did read about that today, about their new alopecia thing. The other thing is, I'm looking at her head, and she looks like she's got a coating of peach fudge over her whole head, too. So that's just another thing. I'm like, where's the part where she has alopecia? Because she looks like she has a full head of peach fuzz on there. So I knew this guy who had alopecia, where he would have hair loss. And so he would shave his whole head too. But you could see spots where it wasn't growing in and where it was, within a few days. It's like men have to shave every day. Well, if you shave your head and you want to keep a complete chrome dome up there, you have to shave that every day, because 2 days later, some hair will be growing in, and then other patches, if you have alopecia, will not be growing in. You could see it on his head like that, but not on hers. Her head doesn't look like it has alopecia. So I don't know what the heck is going on, unless there's some kind of alopecia that only shows when your hair gets longer. She does have a nice head structure to get away with being bald, unlike a lot of people. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. Nuclear became nuclear because of Jimmy Carter. Yeah, I think it was stage hype. It's lost like 80% of its viewers, or some ridiculous percentage. It's in the toilet. They're trying to dig it out of the toilet. Y'all heard that the new president of Ukraine is an actor who played that role of Prez of Ukraine as an actor. Yes, I have had that on. That was on like 3 weeks ago or something. Yeah, you should check out his act on Ukraine's Got Talent. I know. We can't have any leaders that weren't like nude, half nude, or strip dancers or something now anymore. It seems like clown world indeed. Yes, I know. Still think the Mandela's weirder, but reality is indeed making a run for the money. Sophia Green's in. Hello. Sweetheart 11's in. Okay, so I got a half hour left. I've got most of them. Okay. All right. We covered long ago, maybe what, 3 years ago, I had on about the light pillars, and we've covered it several times since then. Let me close up some of this extra stuff. Okay, so light pillars. Maybe I'll just show you light pillars just in case, so we remember what topic we're on here. So light pillars is like this thing now where ice crystals align in a certain way, and then that causes like light on the ground to, like, so these would be like lights, maybe street lights or something, will cause these pillars of light to come up from the ground because of this weird crystals of ice. Now, this one's interesting here because I have not seen it do this tenting thing on the top like this one has. Let me show this one. This is the first time I've seen that, where it looks like tents, which is really cool. Somehow I like that even more than the pillars because it looks like the sky is being held up. So we've looked at these before. So it used to be in, see, there's another one where it looks like tents up in the sky. Okay, cool. It used to be that it was only in the really cold places, like at the poles, was the story. And so you're like, well, that's probably why I've never seen it, because I don't live in the North Pole or the freezing Arctic. But now it looks like that stuff. Oh, what the heck is that one? Interesting. Okay. First of all, they're showing up more in the daylight. It used to be like in the pit of night only, in the depths of the night. But now we're starting to see images where the skies aren't so dark. And this one really is a bright pillar, too. I have not seen one that. Light pillars dance across the sky in northern Michigan. So now we're in Michigan. It's not North Pole. It's like something taken straight from a sci-fi movie. Strange columns of light have been spotted recently across northern United States, dancing up toward the night sky and mesmerizing viewers. Yeah, because they never saw this crap before. It was almost like they were looking at the northern lights because they were bouncing, moving, and changing in appearance. That's interesting because that is not how I've heard it described in the past. This is not an alien invasion, not yet, or extraterrestrial activity, but rather an optical phenomenon courtesy of a cold, calm atmosphere in Michigan. Okay, there's another image of them. Okay, so I guess they dance around and stuff. I have actually not seen video of these things dancing around. I might have to. Minnesota had some. Okay, so they're in the United States now. But even Texas had some. And this one looked like it was kind of in the daylight more. So this was Houston, Texas. That's not it. That's a bit much. The night of Wednesday, but then it doesn't look very nightish. This thing was caught. It looks pretty bright for like the night. All right, I don't want to play that because I don't think it's going to show too much. I don't want to get a copyright, but let's look at images real quick. So since when does like Houston get these though? That's kind of my thing. Houston, Texas. So that means we could get them here in California. If Houston can get them, I could get them. So I'm waiting to see my light pillars because that sounds cool. Are they going to be dancing? So that's the first I've heard about dancing. So I guess if the light pillars come, it's not supposed to be an alien invasion. Just so you know. Idiocracy movie is a documentary. Watch it if you have not yet. Yes, it's a very corny, silly, cult classic type of movie, but it's disturbingly becoming accurate. Some of the dialogue later in the movie is quite hilarious. Like, it reminds me of now. Just like there's the circular reasoning that people use. I've heard people call the Ukraine president a clown without irony and with endearment. I've not heard that one. I thought that Bojo, your dear friend over in the UK there with the goofy hair, usually got that one. But I guess there's room for two. Just because Putin is a bad doesn't mean Zelensky's a good guy. I totally agree with that. I don't trust either side on this. I don't trust governments in general. I don't trust the story that we're being shoved down our throats. If you look historically, we have a long track record of funding rebels that later bite us in the butt. We funded Saddam Hussein. We funded Al-Qaeda early on. We kind of created them. And now we've got militia that's somewhat out of, or at least maybe possibly totally out of control in Ukraine. Ukrainian militia, now we're funding them. I would not be at all surprised if that came back to bite us in the butt too. Can you check out YouTube video, UFO over Long Beach? Let's check it out. The problem now with video is that you can fake anything. You could even fake a Zelensky ambling around Kiev, and you won't know if he's really him or not because of deep fake. So, caught on tape over Long Beach. That must be an ex-gen or a boomer saying that. I still say it sometimes, but it's like, caught on tape. There's no more tape. Witnesses saw a large white orb over my house in Long Beach, California. Okay. So before I learned of the Mandela, that was like 5 years ago now. So maybe like 5.5 years ago, 2014-ish, something really weird was going on, and I was really investigating it hard until I learned of the Mandela, and then I forgot about everything else. But there was a thing going on in LA where there was this weird, this guy claimed he could call these aliens, and they were like blobby things that would dance around in the sky. And I was pretty interested in it. at the time, and there was a fair lot of videos. They're probably still out there. Trying to see if it was legit. I figured that it was probably one of two things, that it was either some kind of hologram technology or some kind of early drone thing, or maybe a mix of the two. And so now, whenever something happens like this, they have hologram tech now, where basically the hologram cloaks around the item. So you can have like a drone and you can have a hologram cloaked around it, and you can make it look like anything. And then you look at video technology, where they can put anything in. Like an amateur can learn to put in a UFO pretty easily. So you can't really trust anything anymore on video unless you saw it. And even then, you could be looking at a hologram or a drone. So that's why I don't put a lot of stock in these anymore. Then you got Long Beach, LA area, certainly San Diego. There's a lot of military stuff going on there too. Whatever happened to swamp grass, gas, and ice crystals? Well, yeah, the ice crystals. Yeah. It seems scientists continually blame ice crystals for the cause of strange ambient weather or sky phenomena. Yeah, everything's ice crystals now. I don't know. But there's old photos of these things, like way back from when I know they didn't exist. Yeah, I wonder if is that going to be like the icing on the cake of the weird when we get the alien invasion? All right, Shari's got something. I'm clicking on it. Ice lard. Ew. It's those darn Ruskies again. You can't trust them and their ice lard. That's totally gross. Ice lard. I like it. I like it and I hate it. Ice lard. I'm writing that down. Man, my pen died. Come on. Ice lard. Oh, goodness. Okay. Peculiar snow and ice formations are a frequent and long-lasting phenomena in Russia, yet they still manage to take the shape of utterly unexpected things. Look at that. That looks totally gross. Wait, it's a rare phenomena or is it not? Frequent and long-lasting phenomena is a rare natural phenomenon. Okay. No, wait, which one is it? It's a frequent and long-lasting rare phenomenon called snezura. Snezura. Snezhuda. Doesn't even, is that Russian? Appeared on the Ekateringovka River in St. Petersburg. The snow that falls on the water is bunched up into plastic-looking mass, which doesn't melt. The latest photos were published by the Arctic and Antarctic Research Institute on their social media. Ice lard. Look at that. Bleh. Now, if it was noodles, that's not too bad. I think I'd rather call it like pasta. Special weather conditions. The Snezhuda was formed because the heavy snowfall met the near zero temperature of the water. The snow falling on the surface of the water didn't melt, but it clumped together into viscous plastic-looking mass. Look there's a ton of that crap. Looks like overcooked dumplings in a pot, foam from boiling milk, lavash in the river. It looks like old stinky blankets or something. A similar natural phenomena appeared in St. Petersburg in December 2021 on the Moika River. Then the city was covered by a very heavy snowfall and a sharp cold while the water in the river had not yet frozen. Huh, yeah, that's pretty bizarre. Good find. lard ice. It's rare, but really common. Does anybody read these things and go, what? Who wrote that? I mean, what editor said, yeah, that makes sense? At this point, I feel like we would just roll our eyes if there was an alien invasion. Yeah, then we'd be like, is it holograms or are they really here? I'm like, how do you tell if an alien invasion is an alien invasion unless they show up here? It's like, I want to talk to these aliens. Somebody snezuda very hard. Yep. It has a weird sound to it. See, over here, I live near so many Air Force bases. It's like, oh, helicopters are always going over. And then they go over because they're looking for runaway criminals. And then they go over because they go up and down the freeway here. They use it as a map. It's like their aerial roadway, up and down, up and down. So if they did buzz me and I wouldn't even know, I'd be like, oh, another one of them stupid helicopters. I remember people on Paranormal Show complaining about that around something like 2014. The worst for me was during the Iraq War. They were just practicing so much or something. They were like always going up and down. It's actually a lot better now. Okay, so let's see. We got the light pillars. We got the ice lard. Is that what it was called? Ice lard. Somehow my brain is not picking up new words quickly today. Ice lard. Okay. I got 15 minutes. All right, so last time we covered the giant single-celled organisms up to 10 feet long. 10 feet long. I still can't believe it. Okay, so I did run into like a bacteria, and it's not 10 feet long, but it is a single-celled, single bacteria, and it is called Margarita magnifica. Easy to remember. You feel like you may have had a margarita or five when you learn about these. Magnifica. Margarita magnifica. It is 0.79 inches long. So it's like 10 times larger than any other known bacteria. You can see it with the naked eye. So it's supposedly newly discovered, kind of newly discovered. Let's see. This is them. Okay, so they look like hairs, but you can see them. So here's a dime. Fine, I'll take it. This is a dime, and you can see these hair things. These are them. These are single cell of bacteria, supposedly. And these ones, the largest ones in this sample were 2 centimeters, or for the Americans, 0.79 inches. So a little bigger than 3/4 of an inch, so that's pretty big. Those are the biggest ones in this batch, in this Caribbean mangrove, or Caribbean mangrove, depending on how you say it. But they're saying, oh, maybe they could get bigger because we just discovered them and we don't know how big they could get. Discovered a bacteria measuring nearly 1 centimeter. Okay, well, another place said it was 2 centimeters. Meaning it contradicts the very definition of a microbe because it's visible to the naked eye, which is defined by its microscopic size. The bacterium has been named Margarita magnifica, was identified by Mexican microbiologist Silvina Gonzalez Rizo from the University of blah, 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 blah. Average size of most bacterial species is around 2 micrometers, not 2 centimeters, okay? Blah, blah. Okay, they're just talking about other ones. What was the other weird things about it? So this one was not like a prokaryote or a eukaryote. They said it was like a proto-eukaryote, like it kind of has organelles, but not really. Contains 12,000 genes, triple the normal amount. All right. So anyway, it's just weird. So we have now bacteria that are almost an inch, maybe longer. That was just the first round on those guys. How would we be even able to tell if an alien invasion is real when news shows footage of Star Wars and video games and say it's from the real war? Yeah, and like, yeah, exactly. You're talking about there were actually literally some Star Wars and video game images that they like made the quality really poor, like it was taken from a potato, and then they put it up there and it said it was from Ukraine and it was from literally Star Wars. You could actually see that like the TIE fighter on the left once you realize it was from Star Wars. So yeah, you can't trust the media at all. They have the hologram technology to pull it off now. And that's just what we know of. They could have things we don't know, but we know that they have the capability of, like, say, flying a drone and cloaking it with a hologram. So if you flew a drone and cloaked it, then you could make a fake spaceship. And as long as it didn't come down here and land and me poke at it with a stick, I could not tell. So they would literally have to land, and I have to see those effing aliens and maybe have some weird mind-to-mind psychic talk before I would trust it. And, you know, they can actually project sounds right into your head now, too. So there's that, you know. They got a lot going on. You could even think that you heard them speaking to you in your head, and it could just be those sound projectors they have now. These bacteria just crawling around. Yep, I know. It's crazy. There's not like bacteria is the size of worms now. What is even the difference? You've got single-celled organisms that just look like plants that are 10 foot long now. Morgellons getting mainstream. I am discovering new old people on YouTube talking about what's going on now. Before 2012, they're describing the stuff as if it's 2022. Yeah, I know. Should have been some of the first discovered because of its size. Yep. Say, where did they say they found these suckers? I think in Mexico, because it's some Mexican dude. Oh, Spain's Marine Research Institute. Where was it found? Leaves buried in the mangrove of Guadalupe. Theomargarita magnifica, which means sulfur pearl, an allusion to the microscopic sulfur granules contained in the bacterium. Oh, so they're saying they found it like 10 years ago, but the preprint was only released last month? The preprint was only released last month. That doesn't make any sense. You found something like that and it took you 10 years to sort it out and get the preprint? I don't think so. If you saw something like that, you'd be like stuffing that through as fast as humanly possible, and everybody would be clamoring to hear more. Okay, so there's that one, and I think I got one more. Bacteria. Okay, this was a little bit smaller one. Okay, speaking of things that should have a U after the Q, qanat. I still have trouble even typing a Q without a U on it. All right, so way back, I was taught that the aqueducts of Rome were an amazing achievement, the first of its kind. But now it's not really a big whoop because, like, and they were the first to have indoor plumbing. Not anymore. They have way cooler, neat stuff now. And one of these is this, I'm not sure how to pronounce them. I think it's qanat. So what's a qanat? So what they do is they dig a well, okay? And I think I've covered a little bit of this before, but it's getting more fancy because there was just like a few of them before. But they dig a well, and then they figure out where they want water to go. And so here's the water table. So the well is in the water table, but they want this water to get all the way to somewhere else. So they have, it's like an underground aqueduct, basically, that they get just a tiny little, just the right slope to it, not too much, not too little. If it's too much, it'll flow too fast and it will damage the walls, and that'll be bad. And if it's too little, it doesn't flow, that's bad. They have to have just the right flow. And so they'll dig this well, and then they'll map out, okay, yay, we found water. It has to have good flow. If it has good flow and they found the water, then they map a path to where they want the water to go, and then they dig smaller and smaller wells down to the same spot. Now, this one may not get to water, but that's okay, because when they get to the bottom, and I don't know how they know how to get over to this one, but somehow they measure real carefully, and then they cut over to this one. I'm kind of guessing they might set all these other ones up first, frankly. And these are all access points. So they come down and they cut this, they come down and they cut this, and they cut out this whole path, and then the water flows all the way. So they do these like in the deep deserts and stuff, and this makes them so that they can have these beautiful oases and stuff. And this is like a well-established technology in certain areas now. Here's another example of it. So this is a tech that just is very recent for me. I think I just started hearing about it like a year ago. So these are all access shafts. So supposedly it takes pretty good skill level to build these, because you can't, they're tiny caves basically. You can't have them caving in. I don't know how you do it if the soil wasn't packed enough. They do need occasional maintenance. And if it's not done right, it's dangerous. You see here they've cut into an existing flow here that doesn't go where they want it, and they've branched it off into here, and then they put this lower region will be the irrigated area. So it's really cool, and this is just, I mean, this was nowhere to be seen before. Let's see, I think this is another example. So there's multiple ways to do this. There's another example of it. That's the base well. Okay, so that's similar to the one I already saw. Okay, and then they, I think I've had this on before, but they also have these, I don't think I had the name for it before. When I first saw these, they just called it giant refrigerators, freezers in the desert. So they had like freezers in the desert now, and I do believe I've had one of these on. They're called, oops, that didn't work. Yakchal. It's Yakchchal. That's going slow enough. Let's try again. 2,400-year-old Yakchals. I guess we'll just open that and see what we get. I believe I've covered this. So basically what they would do is in the winter, they would go up to the, see, this is a little weird because I don't really remember there being like mountains full of snow near the desert, but now there is. So in the winter, there would be snow on the mountains. They would get the snow and ice, and they would drag it back over to these yakchals and store it in here. And then they would have ice for like the whole summer. So before it was just this like refrigerator thing where it's just really, really well insulated, and imagine it's full of ice. But now they've got like, see these little bumps and stuff. I'm not sure what exactly is going on, but they have additional tech on here where they have this kind of wind traps. So it reminds me of Dune. When I first saw Dune, I'm like, I couldn't really find any info on these wind traps that they talked about in Dune, but for that book and the movie. But they were just trapping water, okay? But these guys basically are using it not to trap water, but to make it cool, to trap the coolness. Okay, so here we are inside the ice house construction called the Yakhchal in Iran. Adjacent to some Yakhchals, an east-west oriented wall would be built on the south side of the refrigerator, and water would be brought into the Yakhchal from the north side of the wall. The reason for this was to keep the water cool during the middle of the day as it entered the Yakhchal. Another device used to keep the Yakhchal cool is the badgir, a type of wind-catching mechanism which would catch the breeze and divert it down the Yakhchal. So this is pretty fancy, okay? So there's the winds. Then it would go into this cooled basement. They could put like one of these qanats underneath. So this is kind of like a whole thing going on here. So this would be a water flow qanat. And then they cool there's a whole bunch of things they can do, and they would like stack them. So you could have a wind trap, a qanat, of the Yakhchal, everything together. And they also have these giant wind traps on their old buildings now too, which is really cool. So they'll be like just an ordinary neat building, and then they'll just have these tall. So here, I think this one shows some of them. So last time I looked into this, I did not find any of these refrigerators with the wind traps, but now we have them. I think I was catching them right in the beginning. So these are all wind traps. A lot of them quite like thousands of years old. Then the refrigerator's there. And there's buildings that have the wind traps just to cool them. So you didn't need electricity. I don't know how cool it'd keep it, but I'm really curious. Wouldn't that be neat to just have those and not have to pay air conditioning? And I've even seen images of kind of 2-bit jobs, with just like tarps and stuff that they would, and pine wood, scraps and stuff. I'm looking at this like, why don't we have these? If I move to like Arizona, I want to put one of these things in. So hopefully the tech will have been Mandela'd out sufficiently by then that I can put one in. But I also really want to like go somewhere that has one and see how well they work. Okay, and I think that's it. Oops, and I'm like, gotta go soon too. I got like 1 minute. Yakhchal means fridge. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, no, somehow it cools it. I don't know how it's like a whole fancy thing. It's sort of new, so, I mean, it's new old, so I haven't got all the detail on it, but. So anyways, we'll be ready to have our wind traps. And I got to run because we're at 2 hours. So thanks. You guys brought a lot of good stuff in, so I very much appreciate it. And you know the story. Think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a